be able to do with that in his hands. We've got a Hook City bottom lane once again.
And it's the Blitzcrank into Varus as well. This is so difficult for Jin Jiao to try and position, especially if Tien starts to make plays down towards the bottom side and you've got to run for the hills. The beautiful thing about this setup as well is that it makes sure that Jin Jiao and Shinmo can't actually push in overly aggressively. The problem that you have a lot of times with Kai'Sa is that, especially against the Varus, she can be pushed in so well, but because Tien will have a good amount of play around in the bottom side thanks to Crisp on this Blitzcrank, they can't overextend for fear of Crisp running them down and setting up a Tien.
Well, it's time to jump into game number 1 here between BLG and FPX. And we have a treat on our hands as DoinB brings his dark technologies to the mid lane once more. This Nautilus mid, the anchor, stepping onto the rift.
Hook City bot lane, Hook City on FPX as well with the double hooks, and they want to go for an invade. You can see how much respect BLG are given to this play though, because there's nobody entering any jungle on the bottom side.
Yeah, I mean, if you're FPX, you lock in a competition with a Blitzcrank and a Nautilus, and then you don't invade. I mean, I don't even know at that point. This is the best invade comp you could even draft.
Yeah, I think Hysterics will be very sad. He's a man who loves his invades. And he's going to be looking at FPX going, God, I wish they're able to find at least one person. But BLG will be able to get these wards down if Kingdom wants to invest it to spot out where Tian is going to start pathing. And this would be so good for Meteor, because Meteor really wants to try and match Tian in this early stages, or at least try and avoid him, because if Tian is able to counter gank in some of these plays, they could potentially turn around in FPX favor.
FPX going to be starting on the BLG red, and it's going to be matched exactly over towards the top side as Meteor will be able to grab this one. It is going to be the Hail of Blades Kai'Sa that we were talking about, the extra burst during these fights. And I'm really hoping that LWX can finally show us what this pick is all about. We've seen it. This is the 3rd time, I think, now. It's not worked out either of the other times. Crisp, he's found a hook already onto Shinmo, and just he's happy to go for level 1 trades.
So you can see how quickly with this Hail of Blades you can stack up the passive damage from LWX. Already had 4 stacks there just off of the autos, the Q as well. So this is how you want to try and play this, is a couple of autos with the Hail of Blades, toss in your Void Seeker, the W, to start getting one more proc, and then you can finish off the final bit of damage and get these very quick burst trades onto the enemy. And as you pointed out already, Munchables, where burst is the name of the game with Blitzcrank, this is the build you want to play with.
Will it be enough burst will be the question. Jin Jiao and Shinmo certainly going to be trying to avoid that damage. You can see a Doran's Shield, the start here for Jin Jiao. He knows that he's going to be playing on the defensive.
Both sides going to be playing relatively defensive. My eyes are going to be drifting towards this mid lane though. How well can DoinB push in these waves against Fofo so that then he can get out and roam? This is the way DoinB likes to play this Nautilus pick, but will struggle in these early stages. The range into melee does not make it particularly nice for the Nautilus in this situation, but once he does get back, starts to get, as we said, that Hextech Protobelt underway, then he can open up this mid lane and start to make the roams happen.
Speaking of roams, Fofo moving up towards the top side of the map here. Kingan's got a massive wave to crash in. Meteor's here. Gimgoon on this set has to go for the 1v3, but he's got some support. DoinB teleports on up towards the top side. With the Nautilus here, the dive is going to be dissuaded.
Perfect answer from FPX. Tien will spot Fofo on the way back through.
Distortion will be available though. I don't think Tien can actually win that 1v1 right now, so he needs to be a little careful, as Meteor will be rewarded with the topside scuttle.
This is why priority on this Renekton is so important in LPL. You get to set up these dive plays incredibly well. You have your jungler just come up, you slice and dice underneath the turret, get the stun, set up another CC for whoever your early game jungler is, and you can oftentimes pick up a kill. Even in this situation, BLG had Fofo to start wandering as well, and now FPX on the bottom side to try and answer, looking if maybe Jin Jiao or Shinmo tried to get a ward.
Not going to be rewarded though, because Kingan does find himself a trade up towards the top side, has the Conqueror very early in the fight, but the Haymaker so good at answering for these trades early on.
Still though, these are going in favor of Kingan. The reason that Renekton wins out in this early game matchup is that heals are always going to beat out shields. It's your laws of League of Legends. So because you've got the Q there to heal up, Renekton will fare better in the long run.
Hook for doing B. Fofo knows he has to respect this one. Sonic Wave did land, but Tian not willing to go for a solo dive there.
Especially with Meteor waiting on the wings. You can see the moment where possibly Tian was going to go, but the second Meteor shows up, that is dissuaded. It's giving the chance, though, for Doinby to push in this wave and then get the back that he so crucially needs right now.
Crisp is moved into the mid lane. He wants to find a hook. Shinmo's here as well. He knows what's going on. And let's bear in mind the BLG, this is not a team that you can, you know, expect to be at the bottom of the table. They're 2-5 right now. They have not had a good start to the season. But when you look at this lineup, this is not a lineup you expect to be 2-5. There's been serious issues with working together as a team, but individually, there is some serious talent on this roster.
And I was looking forward to this matchup so much. You've got Meteor, the rookie of the year in 2019, versus Tian, the jungler of the year in 2019. But after what we've seen from BLG previously, I'm not anywhere near as enthralled by this matchup. It feels very Tian favored. And even looking at the rest of the team, Kingen hasn't been performing, Fofo hasn't been performing, and it seems like everything has gone astray. Now, though, we've got a composition that BLG look like the old style. Strong mid laner who can roam, Fofo and Meteor working together, and cheekily enough, Shinmo often getting these roams off in the mid lane.
Doinby thinks he's baiting, but maybe he's being baited. Luckily, though, he is going to be Nautilus with Aftershock, so he's not really going to be in too much trouble for himself.
Fofo, welcome to how obnoxious this pick can be. Doinby is nigh on impossible to take down. Picked up the Merc threads already on that last back. Bunch of corrupting potion stacks as well for him still. So this is where Doinby is weathering the storm in this early game, keeping Fofo in check. May not quite yet be able to push in, but especially as he gets towards level 7 and 8, where he's got multiple points into his E, he can push out this wave, not worry about Fofo going for these aggressive trades, and then look to take back this lane state.
I love the LWX in this bottom lane. He's on the Kai'Sa, goes for an early call alongside that pickaxe. So still gets a little bit of lane pressure. He's not going to be forfeiting the lane by going for the call, but he is going to be investing into the later stages of the game. He knows he needs to get a couple of items before he can really hit the power spikes that he needs in this game.
And we've pretty much seen this from every Kai'Sa, because Kai'Sa is so item dependent and doesn't do much in the early game.
Well, we saw one dive from FPX earlier, or attempted at least. Showstopper goes down onto... Never mind. Kingen's happily able to tag that one. And it's 3 on the tower now as they push on through for this one. Tian was in the bottom side. Fofo even TPing. That was big commitment from BLG.
Well, they got the TP out of Doinby earlier, so Fofo, if he's staying in lane, FPX think, great, we're safe. We don't have to worry about these dives in the top lane. But Fofo still had his own teleport, gets the play down, and it was the delay in enacting it, but it still ends up with a kill going over to King.
Oh, pulls straight there onto the likes of Jin Zhao. It's Ignite burnt, but it's traded for a heal.
See how quickly this Hail of Blades can stack the passive again, though. Pretty much straight off the back, you get that burst down, and Crisp is looking great on this Blitzcrank and setting up LWX to land that burst.
Really nice stuff coming out from the bottom lane of FPX, and you expect no less either. Let's bear in mind, this is the World Championship roster as well. Khan not going to be in the top lane, it is still Kim Goon.
I love that Jin Zhao in this lane as well as taking the exhaust, because you're pretty much going to be dead in a lot of these situations if even the heal comes through, because the Ignite cuts that healing down. So instead opting for the exhaust means that he's able to better survive these lanes when that one hook does land. But if Crisp is able to do so with jungler intervention, this is going to be a very different story. And now with exhaust down, Crisp can be even more potent in the lane. Right now, though, they're looking at Rift Herald.
Yeah, we're past the 8-minute mark, and that means Crisp and Shinmo both have to move up towards the top side of the map. But you can see LWX is going to be here as well. Full commitment to the Rift Herald from the side of FPX.
It's great to see BLG now looking towards this objective. Previously, they were up at like 54% this time last week. Now, though, for Rift Herald control, they're down at a mere 40%. BLG have been giving up the Rift Herald on so many occasions. Now, though, we're seeing shinings of BLG of old, where they are prioritizing this objective that won them so much in week 1 of the LPL.
BLG the ones to start the Herald off here. Tian hanging around. Teleport going to be channeled by Doinb. They want to contest for this one. This is what we saw against RNG as well. They will not allow an inch to their opponents. Herald doesn't reset. Tian moves in. Smite available for both junglers here. Meteor going to be pulled in. No, it's King and actually pulled to the rest of the fight by Shinmo. Smite goes down and Tian picks up the Herald. Now getting straight onto the likes of Shinmo. He's deleted at the start of the fight. Now onto Meteor, trying to do his work in the fight. Void Rush not going to be enough though. LWX getting one for himself. Kingen forced to flash. So is Jin Zhao. Will be chased on down. Crisp is here. Rocket grab not quite available.
Tian still has his kick available, which is why we saw the early flash away from Jin Zhao. FPX, though, pick up the team fight win, and now they can go towards the objective.
2 for 1 in that fight right here, or 2 for 1 in the game so far at least. Herald goes down in the mid lane. That's going to be a couple of plates going the way of Doinb and Crisp. But Tian getting a little bit of credit for himself as well.
FPX played that fight incredibly well. Being able to focus down one member at a time before BLG can mount any sort of offense is exactly what FPX want to do. We see Doinb turn aggressively on towards Kingen to force him back, and that allows Crisp to sneak in a hook onto Shinmo, burst out the Thresh, and then it's a 4v5 from then on. So you can see here, Kingen is being pressured by Doinb. Meteor can't get into this fight. He's worried about getting focused down, so when the hook catches onto Shinmo, Meteor has to overextend and attempt to save the play, and FPX are given the opportunity to clean up.
And it's just so great to see the coordination from FPX. They group up as soon as Meteor goes in there. Everybody is there to protect LWX. Nobody abandons the AD carry.
Usually as well, we'd actually see the AD carry being the big difference maker in this. It was what we saw in the RNG versus FPX game where the Kai'Sa wasn't able to deal the damage because you were going against a misfortune. That bullet time can work wonders in these early game team fights. Up against Jin Zhao though, where the corrupting chains aren't able to do as much work, the Kai'Sa's lack of damage or lack of mobility isn't as big of a factor.
Kingen wants a 1v1, but the Showstopper actually pulls him towards the tower, not quite under, and it means Gimgoon just loses the fight.
See Doinb leaning up towards that top side as the play started to kick off, but when he spotted Meteor, he backed right over towards the mid lane once again. Crisp roaming again to try and get a play on this mid.
Oh, hook comes through from Doinb. Fofo flashes away. Crisp is there though. Nice jump back to the distortion from Fofo. Will do a tiny bit of damage to Doinb's Titan's Wrath. I mean, you just can't trade back. That's the big thing. Nice plays though from Fofo. Does lose his flash.
The Hook duo trying to see what they can make work. Now backing up, Doinb will be able to finish off this Hextech Proto Belt, pick up more stacks of that Corrupting Potion as well, because we're a little bit low on mana in that situation. And with that play, BLG have tempo on the map. They'll turn towards the dragon. So one apiece when it comes to dragons, but this is where FPX become alive. This is where we watch Doinb shove in mid aggressively and start to move down towards this bottom lane. Or possibly to help out Gimgoon, who is struggling on the top side of the map. Hasn't even opted to go for the same set build that we saw.
Tian's been found. Kingen wants a 1v1 and he's found it. Doesn't get his Kuldamik off though. Means Tian walks away with his life. Dominus on cooldown as well. Not ideal for the likes of King, and he would have loved to finish that kill.
So Gimgoon is opting towards the Black Cleaver build first here, because he's thinking, hey look, I need a lot of tanky stats to try and go against this Renekton. The CDR is so much more important to have my Haymaker up more often to try and counteract some of this burst that King is trying to put down. So this is where Gimgoon is going to be differentiating himself from the other sets that we've seen thus far today.
And I think partly because we are, as you said, getting to the point in the game where FPX likes to fight for things. So far, BLG have been able to match FPX. They're equal in dragons, they're equal in gold. But how long will that last? Meteor denied. Depth Charge going to get the knock up onto him as well. Can't get the Lantern and finished off by Tian. You asked which jungler was better. Tian winning out so far.
Fofo's the better jungler, you mean?
Fofo's been hooked and hooked again, though, and that's going to be a kill for LWX.
This hooking is going crazy in this game. They managed to catch out Meteor. Fofo tries to be cheeky and steal away the blue. Now Shinmo might be next on the menu.
Buff transfer complete there for LWX. He's going to grab the blue buff after all. They just wanted it on the Kai'Sa. Now, mid lane turret goes down for the side of FPX as well. And you know, BLG, they started things all right. They've been able to match the macro a little bit, but once it comes to these skirmishes, it's where FPX truly shines.
And it's going back to what FPX were renowned for. Playing towards these bottom lane style plays, helping out Doinby in the mid lane, and as you said, going for skirmishes. This is not the testing FPX that we saw, where they're trying the likes of Azir's and Kassadin's late game scaling champions, or even going for split push on the Fiora's Khan. This is the FPX of old. This is the style that won them the World Championship, and it's now really kicking the butt of BLG.
BLG not having a fun time of it so far in game number 1. As I said before, they've been able to match the macro a little bit. They had a nice dive onto the likes of Gimgoon to get a kill. They got themselves a dragon as well. But now FPX, it feels like starting to slowly but surely grasp control of the game.
And with that word grasp, I want you to look at Blitzcrank's build. Because he's gone for an early QSS that won't be useful against Meteor.
Meteor is going to find him. Dragon's Rage. Oh, the chains don't hit from Jin Zhao. And now he's going to walk face first into Tian. The hook's not going to land. Nice patience from Tian on the blast cone. And now the rest of the squad's in trouble. Gimgoon flashes forward, doesn't get anything as King and goes for the Dominus. Showstopper keeps him down, though. Gimgoon survives for now. One more auto will get the kill, though. Jin Zhao finds one for himself. Fofo with the chains onto Tian. Gets the root. Jin Zhao follows up, and Meteor gets the kill with a Prey Seeker.
Oh, they missed everything on FPX's side. The hook from Doinby goes into the wall. The kick from Tian is not quite there. And BLG will find themselves the second Rift Herald of this game.
This is what we wanted to see from BLG, answering the aggression. Crisp, too aggressive. Tian, too aggressive, and they are punished for it.
And BLG played that very well. They back away and allowed FPX to over... Oh my god,
Meteor got it. Meteor got it.
That was pretty,
on a nice
damn
edge.
close.
He smited it while it was on 30 HP, I think.
I think that was blind as well, which makes that even more impressive. But doesn't matter. It will go over to BLG, and that will be such a big pickup for them. Now they can start to try and utilize this, but watch everything that's used. Gimgoon misses the face breaker. Doinby misses the hook. And now you've got panic stations from Gimgoon, who's gone in with the flash, so nowhere to get out. Tien overextends as well. BLG do a great job of kiting back and forcing FPX into this unfavorable position. And this is how BLG want to try and play these fights. If they can get FPX to overextend, well, that's when their comp can come alive. Kingen comes in on one side, Fofo comes in on another, and there's not very much that the side of FPX can do when these long cooldown spells have been used, like the Facebreaker and even the hook from Doinby.
And just check out the difference between top laners right now. Look at the items that Gimgoon has. He's got a Phage and he's got a Kindle Gem with his boots. On the other side of the board, King already with his Blade of the Rune King and a Phage to work with. The difference is night and day, and Renekton, this is the time in the game that he truly shines as well.
And in the team fights. Once he's able to get up towards this Black Cleaver, now he's got the CDR that you miss usually with this new style of build going for Blade of the Rune King. He can start to rotate through his spells a lot quicker and really use the extra fury that's built up by the Dominus.
Teleport coming through from the side of BLG. They don't want to lose this Infernal Drake. Flash immediately from King and Crisp using the stopwatch. He has to flash as well. Gimgoon may have been left out to dry by the rest of his squad here. Showstopper in. Doesn't get too much damage down. The Haymaker's not enough of a shield. Shinmo the next target, though. It's going to be 1-for-1. No, the Ignite, not quite enough. Now the root's going to be down. It's Crisp that falls in the end. Fofo getting another. BLG are answering back here.
Again, FPX overextend. They go for the Dragon, which allows BLG to get into the positions that they want. FPX want to start off this fight by making the pick with Crisp and then moving in with all the extra CC that they have from Doinby, from Gimgoon. But that's not what we're seeing. Instead, BLG are allowing them to go into these objectives and then they can go and take the fight. So with everyone available in these fights, I'm always going to favor the likes of Renekton at this point of the game. Fofo, who can again pressure on towards LWX in the back line, or turn towards Gimgoon, who's not tanky.
And then Crisp obviously gets rooted towards the backside of the fight. Great hook there from Shinmo. And the Lantern on himself means he survives the Ignite during this fight. And I was chatting to Lyric about this matchup last night, and I asked him what he thought, how this one was going to go. I was saying it was going to be a clean 2-0 FPX, and I didn't think BLG would stand a chance. What he told me was, game number 1, BLG will look great. They'll take it to FPX, they'll win the first game. And then FPX will turn it around and get 2 clean wins. I didn't believe him, but right now, BLG looking pretty good in game number 1.
BLG are looking very good in game number 1, and especially in that top lane. You started to point it out, Munchables, but Kingin is an entire Blade of the Rune King over Gimgoon right now. This Croc has more teeth than I've ever seen before, and BLG can just look to stick Kingin in this top lane, and he can go to town on Gimgoon or on these turrets if Gimgoon attempts to leave lane with the teleport advantage that he has.
And we have to revisit the bottom side of the map as well, because we've been talking about how LWX on this Kai'Sa pick is something that you want 2 or 3 items before you're really going to have much of an impact in the game. And yet, FPX are still going for these 5v5 fights.
And this is a big mistake. In theory, they should be able to win a fight if they get a pick. Chris pulls someone in. It doesn't really matter who you get on BLG's side, to be honest. You'll be able to burst them down. The Halo Blades, Kai'Sa, Doinby's Nautilus, even Gimgoon. This is all heavy upfront damage. And that's why they need to start playing towards a pick-orientated style rather than facilitating BLG's superior team fighting style.
Fofo are going to be forced to recall on the bottom side. Doinby might be able to find an anchor, though. It lollipops. Fofo respects it, uses the distortion.
Doesn't even get a lick in there. Still has the Proto Belt as well, which he could have just used to stop the back and then toss the anchor hook to try and finish off. But it doesn't matter. I think with Meteor there, it was always going to be Fofo escaping towards the turret.
Will get himself to safety. And we have to give props to Meteor so far this game. We mentioned he was the rookie of the split last year. In fact, he was rookie of the year last year in 2019. And he's up against the jungler of the year in the entire world, the MVP of the World Championship in Tian. And so far, Meteor is looking pretty great on this Rek'Sai.
Well, Rek'Sai is such a strong pick at the moment, particularly into Lee Sin. You can control the early game as much as you want. You're also able to disrupt so many combos that Tian would like to go for on this pick. As well, sitting on the Black Cleaver, you're at a stronger point when it comes to these team fights than Tian right now. But this is where Meteor is going to start slowly falling off. And now it becomes much more about the utility that Tian brings to these team fights, more so than the upfront damage that Meteor could have done up until this point.
Now, Shinmo and Jinzhao are going to be clearing out mid. So they look for priority just about anywhere they can get it. Bear in mind, BLG, they've taken 2 towers so far this game. FPX only taken 1. They have a gold lead for themselves. BLG are the ones with control of the game right now, but with Dragon spawning in 40 seconds, that can very much change.
BLG moving in to get this Dragon Vision, though, is where they need to be scared. Picks coming through from Doinby's hook, from Crisp hooks, from Gimgoon getting a flank TP off is where this is most dangerous. They've actually positioned Doinby towards the top side, so they want Gimgoon here to try and start things off with a flash facebreaker or the showstopper.
I mentioned the builds from Kingin and Gimgoon. I want to revisit that because the Black Cleaver's been finished from Kingin. He's got his boots as well. The other side of the board doesn't look so great for the side of Gimgoon. He's still very squishy on the side of this set. And there's a lot of physical damage that can come through from the side of BLG.
FPX setting up in the river. Crisp is hovering off on the side, but will be spotted. Whew, Fofo does manage to get away from that.
The way that FPX wins a fight right now is off the back of Crisp. They need one of these hooks to land.
Or Jinzhao to get separated.
Doinby can get a hook too. Look at the knockups. Look at the combo. LWX gets 1. Let's make it 2 as well. Shinmo's pulled on in. They'll gift it over to the carry. And the carry's name is Tian in the jungle right there. Over towards the dragon now. Kingin, he's popped his Dominus, but he can't go for this one.
What just happened? Jinzhao died with flash, with everything. He was just caught out in the wrong position. You gave FPX exactly what they wanted. And now FPX are sitting on Soul Point for an Infernal Drake that really they don't deserve.
And it felt like BLG thought that they had the advantage. Walks away from the lantern.
With flash. You can get in. A great play from Chris to pick off Shinmo as well. But Shinmo was only in that position because Jinzhao, for some reason, is in mid lane.
Yeah, questionable plays, questionable positioning coming out from BLG here. And you have to scratch your head a little bit because the only way that FPX wins a fight is finding a pick. And then the AD carry from BLG immediately steps out of position. It's like comedic timing, honestly.
And now we got to start to look at again how heavily FPX are playing to this pick style. Because when I look towards Kai'Sa's build, she's opting towards this AP style, which is all about proccing that passive. And Halo Blades on the Kai'Sa, this AP damage, this burst is going to be so incredibly high that even if they get the hook onto the likes of Kingen, before the Dominus is popped, there's a high chance that they're just able to burst down this anyone, to be honest, on BLG and not worry too heavily about what's waiting on the other side of the brush that Crisp throws his fist into.
I want to just quickly revisit the 10.5 patch notes ever so slightly here as well, because we've got a lost chapter going over to the side of LWX. AP Kai'Sa got slight scaling improvements, and also if you land the Prey Seeker, the cooldown is reduced by 70% instead of 50%. So suddenly, going a little bit more AP heavy in the build can pay dividends.
Also gives you a lot more poke, which is a great thing as well. So if they're not able to actually find the hook and FPX are waiting on these cooldowns from Crisp, from Doinby, well, LWX can toss out a few of these Prey Seekers, start to get poke onto the likes of Meteor, Fofo, or Jinzhou, and dissuade them from going overly aggressive in these fights and put some manners on them around these objectives.
Kingen now starting to pressure towards the bottom side of the map. Meteor waiting off to the side. Wants to be able to support his top laner should Gimgoon try anything, but it would not be in Gimgoon's best interest to try anything in that 1v1 right now.
He's 2 levels down. We said already an entire item behind as well.
Look at the CS difference.
Yeah, it's just crazy. This has not been the way Gimgoon was hoping for this to go.
Kingen gets the trade,
on him.
slides out of the fight as well. Very nicely done. Now on towards the mid lane for the side of BLG. But the problem is that is the advantage they have for themselves, is that top lane. Other than that, it feels like the carries are really coming online for FPX.
Crisp is moving forward. Everyone here from FPX not quite able to get the hook that he wanted.
Fofo wants to return the damage, but has to respect Tian. Now, you see positioning-wise, FPX, they're the ones with priority over Baron. They can just play around vision here and try and bait BLG in.
And it feels like because you've got Crisp on this Blitzcrank, FPX always have a way back into the game. It's the beauty of the Blitzcrank pick, that at any point in time, one stray hook can bring you back into this game. And even though BLG may have control thanks to Kingen, if Crisp can make the play to bring it back, that's what could change the entire game state. Kingen, though, moving back down to his home in the bottom side to try and keep pressure on this tier 2 as BLG get control of this Baron area.
BLG will have the Scuttle Crab as well, so no sneaky shenanigans can happen for the next 40 seconds or so.
So FPX at the moment will be looking to try and put pressure into this river and force the teleport out of Kingen. If BLG are forced to group as 5, that makes the game so much easier for FPX because they can start to fish for these hooks and not worry about losing towers on these side lanes. At the moment, though, it's going to be very difficult for them to try and make that happen. Fofo can move in as this LeBlanc, place a ward and dash back out. Jinzhou, as long as he stays relatively far back, there shouldn't be any pick potential on BLG while they go to face check for these objectives.
Another dragon will appear on the map in 40 seconds time, and right now FPX have had complete control. They only lost one mountain earlier on this game. This would be their 3rd Infernal with things like a Kai'Sa on the squad. You get so much benefit out of that damage scaling, and with a soul on top of it, that could be the end of BLG's opportunity to fight them.
This is where it gets dangerous for BLG, grouping up for objectives. You can see Kingen is a little bit back from base, and that's what we're talking about from Fofo. Moving in to spot where FPX are setting up and then getting back out with the distortion. Again, we're going to see it here. Places a ward, gets more control. Crisp, though, on the side here.
Yeah, that's 2&B, but he's not really the target you want. Knock up, but stopwatch from Jinzhou and Meteor very early. Hook onto Jinzhou, though. He's locked up in the fight. Does get flashing away, but he's not going to be able to do any damage now. Oh, LWX goes way too deep on this one. FPX, can they actually deal the damage to win this fight now? Fofo still going to be there on the LeBlanc. Gimgoon doesn't land the haymaker onto anyone, and Kingen shuts him down. BLG win out the fight.
But LWX gone, there's no more damage, and BLG are chasing down FPX.
Oh, the flash hook from Shinmo. Kingan's got the damage to finish off the kill, but they'll gift it to Fofo, and they're rewarded with an Infernal Drake.
LWX, yes, you got the burst, but not when Halo Blades is on cooldown. LWX used it to take out Meteor, so when he flies towards Jin Zhao in the back line, it's nothing left in the tank. Got both of BLG's carries there go golden, and this is where we watch LWX. Does get the burst down to kill out Meteor, but then takes so much damage from Fofo, not expecting it when he goes towards the back line, that he's not able to finish out Jin Zhao. And with the Kai'Sa down, there's no more damage for FPX. Tien can't carry, Doinby's all out of gas, and BLG get the dragon and get the fight.
And you could see Jin Zhao. I don't think the arrow that he was priming was even actually meant for the side of LWX. He was just getting ready to throw it into the fight. LWX just plonks himself right in front of the Varus as Jin Zhao's like, okay, I've got a new target, I guess. Just executes him right then and there, point blank.
BLG now will be able to move over towards this Baron again. Still though, this can go either way. We have to see both teams execute the game plan how they want. FPX looking for a pick before the fight kicks off, or Kingan and Fofo finding the flanks that they want to get onto LWX. You can see how crucial in these scenarios both AD carries can be because of how much upfront damage either side can do. If the AD carries go down, there's no sustained damage to finish out the fights.
Meteor's build is hilariously aggressive. He's looking for a GA next. He's still not finished his tier 2 boots just yet. He's just got pure damage here.
This is needed on the side of BLG because it's not so much of an offensive pick. It's actually so then he can get just finishing off there actually. It's so he can go super into the backline and be an engage tool for the side of BLG. Because if you've got Kingan off on the side and you've got to rely on Shinmo's hook, it's a little bit difficult to guarantee these fights when you want them. So Meteor is opting into being that engage tool, and having the GA there means that he can survive a little bit longer in the fights.
And now you can see BLG. Let's go back a second and remember what the strength was for BLG during the wins that they did find for themselves. It was the macro play. It was controlling the lanes, and it was winning through towers. You can see them returning to form right here. They've got Fofo up towards the top side, they've got Kingan towards the bottom, and then the 3-man squad in the mid lane.
Baron is needed to put the nail in the coffin for FPX this game. Kingan, yes, has the advantages, but they're going to start falling off. He's approaching that level 18 mark. You can start to see that these big ticket items are coming in for Gimgoon as well. Yes, he's still behind, but Gimgoon is going for this tankier build that's far more useful in team fights. So if Kingan isn't able to solidify these wins on the bottom side of the map, well then FPX can find a fight eventually with a pick from Crisp. Look, if you throw out 100 hooks and only one sticks, well the longer you've got to do that, the more chances you have for FPX to make the play that they want.
That's the thing about Blitzcrank. It doesn't really matter about items. It doesn't really matter about damage. Your hook scales indefinitely. If you get a hook onto Jin Zhao late on into the game, it will win you the fight. That's just how this champion works, and you always have to respect that. But most importantly, it can be incredibly effective in these split push scenarios.
There's a lot of things you got to respect on FPX's side. Doinby setting you up as well with those hooks, the pick that can come through from the depth charge, and this Kai'Sa 4-1 and 2. The reason that we said we don't like to see Kai'Sa is because she kind of sucks at that early, 8 to 20 minute mark. But Kai'Sa now is about to finish off a Rabadon's death cap, her 4th item.
Yeah.
And this is no longer where Kai'Sa sucks. She is hitting peak performance and is going to take over from Jin Zhao as the AD carry who can be more useful in these fights.
This is what peak League of Legends looks like. You might not like it, but LWX does as he finishes off his Rabadon's death cap. He's going to be sitting pretty with his new hat. He's ready to jump into a wedding. But
will it be wedding wells or death knolls, though? That's the big question here. Because if you dive in again like we saw in that last fight, that's not going to be the celebration that you'd expect for FPX.
But it could be the strategy, ultimately. because you have to bear in mind, a lot of the wins from FPX in the World Championship were down to the fact that DoomB was married, right? That was the general belief of the fans. That marriage buff only lasts for so long. Maybe it's a different member on the squad's turn.
Well, Kingen hiding in the bush here. LWX doesn't realize he's been spotted here.
Kingen going to be chilling in the pixel brush, waiting for someone to walk into him. Crisp, though, on the Blitzcrank. I don't think Kingen is the one you want to pull into your team right now.
Especially with that GA. So now the people that you can pull in is starting to deteriorate. 3 GAs on the BLG side makes it so much more difficult for FPX to operate in this burst out scenario.
They're just going to go straight for the dragon. Who gets the smite? It's going to be the side of Meteor. Finds the dragon, and they might just find the fight as well. Kingen's going crazy in the middle of everyone. DoomB pulls himself out with the dredge line, but Fofo looking for more. It's going to be an arrow through DoomB. He's so solo. He's walking away, but Meteor flashes forward, gets onto Tian as well. Challenging smite as one goes down to Kingen. GA's not going to do anything for the side of Tian. Knocked up and finished off by Fofo. BLG looks strong in game 1.
And here's a minion wave that we prepped earlier as BLG will be able to move into the base. And with 30-second death timers, they can finish off this game.
And FPX, they had so much control of these dragons, but the last 10 minutes, they lost control of everything. BLG looking amazing in game 1. Take down the LPL champions.